Oh, we are going. Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hiring and Inspiring, hosted by myself, Joe Cutler. This week I've got an old friend on the show. Goes by the name of James Sanwell. James, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Joe. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, good. Doing well. Thanks for coming on. Now, intro into James, why I've got him on. So we're old friends, as I mentioned. We met, I can't believe it, over 10 years ago, I think, at university.
2011, we started university.
Yeah.
What's that? 12 years this year?
Yeah, 12 years ago we met at university. I did the same degree, lived together for a little bit, and then went out into the world of work. James, you worked in sport for a little bit. You worked at Dartford FC for a little bit, and then worked in a couple of marketing roles, a few different industries, and now most recently, and probably most exciting, well, from a lot of people's opinion, you've now launched your own. You've gone out on your own freelancing for your own digital marketing freelance agency. So, little bit of backstory on James. Let's get into it though, mate. The new venture. How it's called Tactix, right? Tell me a bit about Tactix, what it does, what you do, how you help people, and how's it all going as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's about 4 or 5 questions in one there. Obviously, just give that story. We obviously did the same degree. We went in 2 different paths. Obviously, I went straight into the sport industry, which is a very challenging and very interesting industry, shall we say, in the UK. And obviously, you've gone in very successfully into the recruitment, and very well done, you. So I have just started Tactix Digital. We are a small digital agency focusing primarily on social media. And then our ambitions are to explore the AR and AI and VR industries, as obviously they grow and that technology becomes sort of forefront, and is where, that's just where we see the sort of marketing industry going. What we do is, ultimately, my career has been very much focused around helping small, medium enterprise businesses. They've all been very, basically a lot of the projects I've done has been very much on, just relying on organic marketing. And as a result of that, I've always had very small budgets. I've worked very closely with people that have always had very big ambitions, always had this idea where they want to, be in position Y, but might not have the funding to get to X. So I've always had to sort of, think a little bit outside the box, come up with different ideas on how we can grow, organically without necessarily putting, huge marketing budget around it. And as I've sort of done that for various companies, various businesses, and you just get speaking to people are like, okay, that seems to be a bit of a niche skill to sort of set to have, to be able to sort of do, kind of marketing strategies very much on next to no budget. And then obviously we had lockdown, like the rest of the world, started sort of flirting around, helping out local businesses, and helping out sort of, the ex-clients, just trying to sort of keep busy. And it was just sort of, it all stemmed from this idea of, there's a lot of businesses that wish to grow, their return on their investment is obviously their priority. They're always a little bit hesitant to put, to spend on the marketing budget. If there was budget cuts, for example, marketing always seems to be the first one that's going. There's a lot of people there that assume that, because I'm on social media, that means that I'm going to be able to, create a presence there, but they might not necessarily know what they're doing. So this business is about helping people, that don't have the budget to have, say, a full marketing department, or just need that little bit of a helping hand and guidance to be able to, take forward to that next step, and just sort of tapping into them smaller budgets, that people have. But it's mainly about helping people. I've always had this need and wanted to sort of to help the smaller businesses, as opposed to going straight in and, trying to tap up, say, the size of McDonald's, as opposed to, helping out the little guy that owns his small little burger van or something.
Yeah, we never know. So
no, I'm not opposed to it. If McDonald's want to get in touch, we are available.
So essentially, your services, essentially, you run, your clients' social medias. sort of?
Yeah. So
what exactly do you do? I guess.
Yeah, so we primarily focus on social media. So that could be anything from, I'd like to understand a little bit more on a paid campaign for Facebook, or it could be I'd be interested to grow a community, or can you help me come up with like a brand design on because a lot of people on social media, especially on the small business front, it's everyone thinks like because they've say necessarily grown up with social media or they've been at the very start of social media from its infancy. Like I think about 10 years ago, sort of, Facebook was a norm. Now we've got the Instagram, even LinkedIn's now becoming a very strong platform. It's just coming up with strategies, coming up with content, coming up with ideas on how you can basically turn that into your, a key part of the marketing mix. So social media is our primary, but it's not restricted. Like I've also, the digital marketing mixes itself, there's other spaces there to explore. I primarily focus on the social media just on the aspect of that's where my expertise are. But in a personal opinion, I just think that's the direction of where, marketing is going on that digital space. If you think about, say, for example, you might watch YouTube, you might watch, your Australian listeners, I know, but like Daily Mail website is a very good example. You've got pop-up banners on the side. Well, there's now plugins where you can stop them pop-ups from even showing. So as a, maybe like a marketing manager, I might say, right, I'm going to put £10,000 into, my pop-up campaign. I could spend heavy investment in creating graphics for that. Might even take some time to do a bit of research and development to find out what call to actions are working, and then literally me as the targeted user could just have installed a plugin that says, I don't want to see any pop-up banners on the side, and it's gone. It's done. And then, and then it just stops. I can't see that advert. And then that's a waste of your budget. The other thing as well, YouTube. YouTube launched its premium service where there is no adverts. And I can say, for example, I have another plugin which stops YouTube adverts. So why should I could be spending all this money creating, content, especially for like that sort of small 15 to 30 seconds, even up to 3 minutes of a YouTube video, of that advert, I need for it to be blocked. So it's just looking at what areas, the digital sort of marketing space can we best be suited for. And it's a case of not spreading yourself too thinly and putting your fingers in too many pies.
So say I'm your client, you would sort of consult with me, we'd sit down, work out a strategy together. Is that right? And then you would, sort of, as you say, fill in the gaps, plug the gaps, and then look like this is where we can invest a bit more, or is that the kind of thing?
So there's one. So obviously, just because like non-disclosure and things, can't say too much. But one sort of client that I'm looking at, they regularly just sort of publish out content, on the basis that this is a trend in sound. And by doing a trend in sound, their logical thinking was that, we're just going to, we're going to grow on that. But I've sat down with their sort of, I suppose, the owner, and I was just like, what's the thought process behind this? He was like, we just want to be seen by as many people as possible. And I was like, that's great. I said, but what's the point? I could stick you, say, for example, we could stick you in front, we could take you to the middle of Wembley Stadium, right? I could stand you in the middle of the centre circle and put you in front of there to pitch to 90,000 people, right? But if none of them 90,000 people care about your service, care about your product, or anywhere in your geographical location, what's the value of that? There is no value. I said, but I could stick you in a room or a small hall with 5 people that all going to use your service because it's on the same road. I said, and then that's creating more value for you of them 5 people than them 90,000. And I said, and that's what your social media is doing by you trying to jump on all of these latest trends and, we just want to be, so that someone scrolls through and it's, this is, the latest sound on TikTok, example. And I was just like, there's no value there, So, I mean, actually, I'll tell you.
So part of your service is advice as well, right? You're advising. You're not just creating the content. Do you create the content as well yourself? Like, say for your clients. Or do you advise them on what?
So primary focus is ideally we just want to talk about the strategy. We'll talk about the content creation. Come up with this marketing plan effectively, and then we'll give that to said client. and then that client, will then take that and go, right, I will either, some might not have a marketing team, but there might be, people there that are involved in the social media. So, for example, the client that I'm speaking about, I would create the content, create the ideas, create a publishing plan, and then they would go away, they would film said content, take said photos, they'd then bring it back to me, and then I would say, create that into a small 1-minute reel. Or I would take them photos and be like, right, we're going to create this into a post to go on, say, Facebook or LinkedIn. So ideally, just because of time restraints, obviously we're very much in our infancy, we don't have the resources to be able to spread thin, to be able to say, right, we can give you 3 hours a week to be able to go and film sort of, X content. We will do that, but obviously that comes at a premium charge, so it's easier and more beneficial for us to have input, we just create the strategy and then you have the right people. Plus, the other thing as well is that depending on the sort of type of industry and type of market you are, there is some very good people there that are very sort of comfortable being in front of the camera, for example, or they might be on that influencer space. So it's just utilising the skill set that you've already got and taking that set of skills and be like, right, well, if they're better, they've got a 15,000 collar in, they've had drama school training, it's going to be much more beneficial and better quality content to stick, say, X person in front of the camera to be like, this is, maybe this is how this works, as opposed to, say, someone like myself. That sort of thing. So, I mean, as you know, on a personal level, me in front of the camera would be very interesting, shall we say. I'm much more behind the scenes than in front of the camera, sort of thing.
No comment.
That's another story. Another time.
So, yeah, it is. So it's still quite early days. I mean, just generally, for yourself personally, how is it going? How are you finding it running? This new venture that you've done.
So, I mean, it's very cliche, isn't it, to be able to when you start something, everyone's like, "Oh, you really will have no time to do anything," and there is quite a little bit of an element of that. So, because ultimately, at the moment, it started with myself. There's a few other people that are helping me behind the scenes. Offering me advice, doing little bits. But I would say if we had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd say it's an 8 out of 10. I think 10 out of 10 is just, I don't think anything's ever perfect, so. No, but there is these challenges. So, for example, I took you through my week. Obviously, a big thing at the moment is, I want to do a strategy plan for the business. So, we can, again, showcase what we do, portfolio of what we have done. Just so that if someone does Google us, look us up, there is that presence there. At the same time, you've got people that want to get in touch with you and have a call with you. Now, obviously, if I'm, say, an hour on a call, that's an hour away from doing anything else. At the same time, I'd also sort of beta launched my website, at which point then went wrong. And I then had to go away to get it Google ranked, and then making sure that everything was meta tagged and stuff. I think a key thing to is I'm launching this with a very small budget, basically. So if I had that strong level of investment, which may come at a later date, obviously, then you can obviously do certain things. I could outsource, say, right, let's create the website, and then let's get it SEO ranked, and and I would have someone go in the back end, meta tag everything up, write solid blogs. But when it's just yourself, it's very much managing.
You're wearing every hat, right?
Yeah, exactly. 1 minute I can be, I'm trying to speak to sort of the bank because I'm trying to get money sent across, which is just not happening. Yeah. So I'm technically the CFO all the way down, and then in the afternoon I'm the CMO, and then I'm also, you could argue, the CEO, because I'm then having a chat with someone trying to get something closed over the line. You're everything. But it's great because I'm learning so much. Every day is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Every day is a learning curve.
So it's obviously still quite early days, as you said. It's the first sort of few months. You're sort of very much infancy, launching, picking up a few clients. What's your sort of vision for it? I know it's hard to predict these kind of things sometimes, but where do you see it going? What are your goals of it? Where do you want it to go? Yeah,
so funny enough, I had this chat with someone. Someone asked me, like, "Oh, so you're creating?" It's like, "What's your goal?" Right, and the first thing they said to me was, "Oh, so you want to become rich?" And I think most, especially young people, that was always the goal. It's like, "Oh, I want to be rich. I want to have the Ferrari. I want to have the mansion, everything like that." But generally now it's just about sort of helping people. Like I did a little bit of self-reflection, and I was like, at what point in my sort of 10 years is a short career. I'm fully aware of that, but I was, steps back, and I was like, what point did I really enjoy working? What part of me really did I sort of get the most fulfillment every day? And that was working at Dartford, helping effectively a charity. Like, they won't like that I called them a charity, but it was run like a charity. You earned £10, right? Where can we put that £10? We need something, you've got to raise that money. And I love this idea of being able to share my knowledge, get stuck into a project, and just help small people try and grow their visions and grow into something, because there is so many great people out there that have these fantastic ideas. I'm sure you even come across it in recruitment. You speak to people like, what motivates you to say take this job, or where do you see yourself in like 10, 15 years time? Yeah. But they don't necessarily know where to go with it, especially on a marketing front. Marketing is a budget that is often neglected, and they think, right, okay, my marketing, I've got an Instagram page. I'm selling a product, so I've got an Instagram page. That helped me, or I've got a Shopify plugin on my website. That's it. And they just need that little bit of help to, go forward and be like, right, actually, what can I do? And you can Google a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, you can Google a lot, but I mean, I'm sure everyone's done it. You can Google something. It doesn't necessarily mean you can understand it and you can read it. And it obviously takes time. Like, why? Coming out of a whole marketing plan isn't a 5-minute, isn't a 5-minute thing. There's time to spend there researching your audience, to understanding your product, what makes you unique, what other substitutes are there in the market. So we created this agency to be in a position where I want to grow it to help small businesses to use us as a way of elevating themselves. And then as they grow, we grow with them. If this is a small business that's say got 10 people in it and it grows to 100 business, we've then got 100 people business. But also I want to create it around flexibility as well. We obviously, we're on this is going to sound very cliche, not cliche, but obviously you're alive once. Right, and you spend most of your time awake working, and you very regimented that 9 to 5, is when you work, and then you get your evenings to whatever you want. But I want to work in an agency where it almost works on sort of like a sort of that retainer model, where every client we have, we donate so many hours to, and we have a deadline. So hypothetically, that deadline. So say, right, you hire us, we're going to give you 10 hours a month, right? And our deadline to say achieve every piece of work is the 29th of the end of the month. Whether we use that 10 hours of someone working on a project is between 9 and 5, for a week, great. Or whether they do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. I want to be in a place where people have this flexibility that as long as the work gets done, they can work when they want to work.
Is that for your clients, or say you hired for your team?
I want it for both, really. And I know that will come with a lot of challenges because obviously, but there will obviously be a few, I wouldn't say not problems, a few barriers there. Well, obviously, if a business does operate 9 to 5, you need to be available. But it's just I don't if someone says once, right, I've got an exercise class at 11 o'clock, but I work 9 to 5, I can't attend that. We want to create an agency where you would be able to attend that. Yeah. And if that means you do 6 hours on that Monday, but then you want to do 8 hours on that Monday, then, to make up for it, for example, then great. It's the people that work for us will have that flexibility to, to be able to work when they want. And as long as the work gets done, the needs of the client get met, they're still in a position to meet the client when the client requests it, then that's great. But I don't want to have a business that's regimented to, we only work 9 till 5. And then you can't do whatever you want to do during that time, because as long as the work gets done, I don't care what people do outside of work.
Like you said, life's too short, right? And I think that's one of the reasons. I think obviously why you did this, by the sound of things. 'Cause I know just from our conversations in the past, your previous jobs, you had frustrations around, and I feel like you're also the kind of bloke who when you get told this is how you're going to do things, it doesn't always go down too well. So for you sort of being your own, for you sort of to be your own boss and, to run your own thing, when you first told me about it, I was like, that makes sense. It's a no-brainer for you to do it. And I guess that sounds like it was one of the main drivers for you to launch it.
No, I agree. To touch on it, I do like to challenge. I am challenging, if someone says, right, I'm not the sort of person that would just sit back and go, right, between X and Y. This is what you do. This is how you do it, and this is when you have it done. You know, I like the challenge of something different every day. You know, I like asking the questions why. You know, growing up, I was always like, why is this like this? Why is this like that? Like, you know, I think there's so many. I live by sort of this. There's like a few things I live by, but one of the things I like is that you can learn off of anybody, regardless of who they are, what they are, where they're from, so when someone says like, this has to be done like this has to be done like that, and then you get, say, a junior member of staff that says, yeah, but actually, have you thought about doing it like this? And they go, no. That, it for me is like, especially if you put like an ick in a relationship. That for me is like straight away is like sort of the culture I just don't want to be invested in. I don't want to be with, because it just frustrates me. You know, I don't like that.
What's in people who wouldn't even listen to the person at the bottom?
So I work for a lot. Yeah. So like one of the businesses I worked for a year was a great MD in his own right, but also very challenging with some very weird work practices. And was very much of, this is how you do it. This is, you know, and that was it. There was no discussion. There was never any. It was his way or no way. You know, there was never any point where you know, can go, oh, but what about if we say, have an hour and we brainstorm and we come up with this, or we do this, you know, or have you thought about doing it like this? And it's a case of, it was very much, his mentality was, I'm the MD, I'm the boss, I know how this is done, this is how we do it. There was never even a discussion, you know, and that, for me, there should always be a discussion, you know, and a lot of it is just, it's just, that's sort of, I guess, the motivation for just creating something like this. And I'm just not very good at that regimented routine, I suppose. I do get, and I also get a little bit bored after about 6 months. I'm terrible. I do get a bit bored, and I could be, sometimes it's like, because it's over ambition. But
is that a fear then with this new, with Tactix and the new venture? Because the thing that you're gonna probably define your success is your ability to stick at it and stay consistent. You know, how do you feel it would go when it, you know, say 6 months down the line, where you might have another idea and go, this is the next best thing. Whereas, you know, where people tend to have successes when they just stick at it and work through when it's tough and push through. How do you feel you go when that happens?
Not 100%. And I completely agree with you. There is that sort of a little bit of fear where, like they say, like most businesses fail within that first year. Now, they could fail because of so many different reasons. But there is always that, you know, a little bit of doubt. But I think that's kind of normal amongst many people, being like, oh, what happens if I sort of, you know, get a bit bored? Or, I don't know why I do it. You know, I think it's...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you would say it's...
I think you've just got to stay true to your why. You know, you were talking about your why of being, you know, I want to help people. That's pretty powerful, right? So I would just stick to that when it's...
No, it's sticking with that why. And I think it is human nature sometimes that, you know, there's certain people that will... It hits a challenge and they think, right, I'm just going to run away from it. This isn't working. I'm going to run away and quit. But at the same time, you do also have that little bit of, you know, self-aware where it's like, okay, you know, I'm not just going to have the blinkers on and be blindsided because it's not working. But no, there is obviously that little bit of fear that after 6 months it could become, you know, oh, do I still want to do this? But I've been working on this on behind the scenes now for about a year and a half, flirting with the idea. One thing that does, you know, that is a very strong interest as well is that just learning different industries, you know, meeting different people to understand, you know, different markets and not being stuck doing the same thing over and over again. So I think as long as my role as this grows is very much on the sort of that maybe business development side, you know, and really having sort of that, try and have a bit of a hands-on of like different areas, then I think we should be okay. But again, I'm also a realist. I don't know what the future holds. So...
No, of course. No one has.
But I'm sure this will still be here in 6 months' time.
What's the sort of main challenge at the moment then?
I think the main challenge is generally is time. Like it's times and opinions, if I'm honest. Obviously, everyone has an opinion, and I think you have to be very naive to not listen to anyone's opinion. Like I would argue to get as many opinions as you can before you make your own decisions. But like, for example, you'll know this as well, Joe, I'm not a reader. I don't really read. Like, I'll read news, but I will not read a book. And I am trying to read a book. And thank you very much for your recommendations, you know, from behind the scenes. And if you read these books, a lot of them will say you need to maybe, I know, you've got to devote, say, 8 hours a day at least to one project. Or there might be, say, a system there. It's like, right, work on a timer system where every 25 minutes you start for 5 minutes, or, you want to make sure that you can do this. And there's so many different opinions of where sometimes, like, I find that it can become a little bit overwhelming, actually, to know what direction to take. And
is in for managing your time, you mean?
Yeah, just for managing your time or making that right decisions process, because it relates to each other, because it might be like, right, I'm going to try Mr. X's theory of how to manage your time. So you'll try that, and that for a week, but then that might not work. So then it's like, well, have I just lost a week's time there? But no, because you've learned something, and obviously you failed to learn. Learn to fail, or whatever say it is. But no, it's just it is time though. It can very, like I say, like you can spend a day on creating a website, but obviously then I can't put that time in anything else. I can't necessarily put that time in trying to have a call with someone, or try to create some leads, or having a chat with someone. Like, I'll go to the gym for an hour and then I'll get talking to someone there, that's potentially, I've heard you starting this out and you've been great. And then that leads to like half an hour, and then it might not actually come to anything. And you think, well, that's half an hour time I could have, put in something else. But I think that is also part of entrepreneurship at the very beginning. Yeah,
it just sounds a massive learning curve at the moment, and
it's massive. You'll
probably look back at this point, I don't know, whenever down the track, and you might have you have a way more structured day. It's like, this is how I do this every day, and I do this, then I do this, and you look back to like the times now when it's a bit chaotic, and it's a bit, you are just making up as you go along a little bit, but you'll be pretty glad for this time, just to, as you say, that steep learning curve. I don't know if that resonates.
No, 100%. It is. Learning curve is the most important thing that I'm taking away from this, is that every day is something learning. Every day, at the same time, when you are also offering a service, you've got to be on top of that industry. You've got to be on top of the trends. You've got to be on top of what's new, what's working, what's not working. For someone like, say, I know Instagram launches a new algorithm, that can change everything. Yeah. Or it could be like, Chat GBT's come out, like that's a game changer. That's changed everything. Now the conversation has shifted from, okay, well, I can create this content because I've got an iPhone, I can take this video, to now being like, well, I can just use this AI tool to create everything for me.
Yeah. So that's a nice little segue, actually, because I was next question was sort of flipping it back to marketing. And you mentioned right at the start, the vision for this, for the whole, Tactix, you're going to be sort of quite futuristic. You're looking at getting ahead of the game. What does the future of marketing look like?
Whoa.
To drop a big question on you there.
That's a huge question. I mean, that's like a nuclear bomb in the ocean, isn't it? I mean, I've said to slightly segue, I will answer the question, but one thing that's always got me is that I still cannot get my head around, right, how there is so much money in TV advertising, for example. Because I don't know about you, I could not tell you the last time I watched live TV. Or, so many people now will skip adverts. So many people now will watch Netflix, Apple TV, HBO, where there is no adverts. So I don't see how all these budgets are still going into TV. The only option, the only part of me that makes sense to do any form of TV advertising would be during the Super Bowl, when you've got like all these eyes, sitting there watching it on one platform, one channel. Yeah, but no, I think this year is huge in marketing. We hear rumours all the time of Apple going to release AR glasses. Obviously we've got Facebook with the metaverse. The metaverse is this buzzword that everyone wants to jump on. You've got all these different. We've got like these sort of Fortnite type worlds, sandblocks. All these are where people are being like, I'm going to buy virtual land because this is where everyone's going to live in the world. This is where we're going to work. This is going to where everyone advertise. And nobody quite knows what the future is. I would put if you asked me to put a betting man on it, I think AR is 100% got some sort of value there. I think at the moment, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure most of us have got smartphones. Like I've even got elderly grandparents who've got smartphones now. We've all done this, or there was at one point like 1 billion users, I believe, of people like playing Pokemon Go. That's AR technology. They're walking down the roads, they've got their camera app up, and in there is like a little Pikachu or something, and we're chucking the ball there. But that was with Gen Z about, where that came out, 3 or 4 years ago. So obviously that generation has grown up with that technology. Now, for example, one thing I'm seeing, which I think is a great idea, is that you'll go to a bus stop, for example. There might be, I mean, I don't know if you have this in Australia, but used to have the guy standing there with a big pole and a sign saying McDonald's pointing that way, you know, pointing to the right. And it'd be right. So you go down that road and there's your McDonald's sign. Now, I can take my smartphone, I can scan a little QR code, and I can look through my phone, which let's be honest, most people are still doing now. I can guarantee you walk down any road and there's going to be someone that's going to try and bump into you because they're staring at their phone, right? But there will be live instructions as like a live Google map telling you, pointing to your direction of where to go. And that's huge. Like, that's if you go back 10 years ago, Google Maps was just becoming a thing. Like, I remember like taking a road trip as a child, and you'd have to have an A to Z and a printout of the instructions. Right, turn right here, turn left here. You know, and obviously Apple rumored to be launching this technology of glasses. We saw it with Google Lens, which probably could argue was technology that was a little bit too soon. You know, and people just wasn't adapting to it quick enough. But it's that technology where you can have a pair of glasses on, and you'll be able to see the notifications on your right. You'll be able to look at an advert, and it could come to life. You know, like there's a big thing. Like,
so how far off with those glasses? Like, I'm not
so
sure.
they're rumored.
Is that
rumored to be coming
now? Is that happening now, or is that like?
No, so they're rumored to be coming in 2023. So obviously you've got with Meta and that, you've got obviously and the things like the Oculus Rift and the Quest 2. They are virtual reality goggles. So you put them on and you become immersed in your whole audience. You know, there is still, in my opinion, there's still a little bit of fear of the older generations, especially, of where you're detaching yourself from reality to put yourself into a digital space. You know, for example, and it's a very expensive technology. Like, if you, one of these sort of, Quests will cost you like 1,200 English pounds. I don't know what the exchange rate is. Now, imagine you've got a family of 4, right? So you need 4 of them. And then you want to say, watch a film, right? In the sort of metaverse, effectively, or the virtual reality space of where you want to be, you could be able to interact with it. You know, dad could be looking up there, son could be looking down there, sort of thing. Granddad could be somewhere else, and great aunt Maggie, and it won't be all in front of you in your peripheral vision. It'll be all completely around you. But that technology to a degree exists. AR is, like I say, it's like Google Lens. So again, rumored, but we believe it's coming this year. It'll be, you'll wear a pair of glasses, and then you'll be going down the road, and you will see a digital world merging with the reality world. So you could be walking down, a high street, for example, and where now, for example, like I say, you'll be outside a store, and there might be a physical statue. So we'll take the Lego store, for example. You'll be walking down the road, you walk past the Lego store, and outside might be a giant Lego man, right? Now, with these glasses on, that Lego character, I don't know what we call them, could move, could interact with you,
Right.
So, and as a marketeer, it's that straight away, that grabs your attention. You've gone from something static, something that's there in the presence, to digitally be able to move, digitally be able to interact, digitally be able to disrupt somebody's journey from A to Z. It could deliver a message.
So should marketers be scared about this new technology, or should they be embracing it? Because I feel like, especially with the AI stuff that's come out recently, a lot of, be able to just produce blog posts in seconds and, write copy in seconds. Naturally, that sort of makes me feel like marketers might just lose their jobs overnight. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So
what do you think about that?
So obviously, we spoke about AI there. AI is, there is 100%, like a lot of people, there's 2 sides to it for me. There was the people that, like you just said, 100%, they come out and go, oh my God, I'm scared. This is going to take my job. Will there be a job for me there? And then there's obviously the people that are very much, probably the same sort of people that were like, when the internet first came about, they're like, oh, this is never going to take off. This is never going to be a thing. Yeah. And the technology there is to help. End of the day, that technology still needs an idea to be put in place. For example, if you say, I need a blog post you've still got to tell that IA technology what I need that blog post on. You know, so there's still an element there of which, like, the human is needed. But it is interesting though, because at the moment, like, I think ChatGPT, for example, has passed the bar exam for law, has passed, it's got like its medical practice license in theory. You know, it can do it's got like its retail license. They've tested it by saying, right, answer all these questions, come out with a response. But it is only fed on data. So we still got to get that data from somewhere. You know, because it's taking data to manipulate a result and to give you an answer. But again, it still needs to be fed with, you know, fed with an idea. And yes, a big part of, you know, it's like apparently Google, I mean, it's all rumoured, but apparently Google is like sweating on this. Because at the moment, 97% of all Google searches, right, is someone asking, how do I spell this for grammar check? Or asking a question of being like, I don't know, how do I cook an egg? You know, and as a result of, they'll be like, right, and Google's whole business plan will be right, you know, business models, then results come up, top 3, 4 will be, I don't know, Google Ads. You'll click normally top 4 just to user behavior. That's where they get their money from. But now with ChatGPT, I'll be able to ask, you know, a good way of thinking about it, like Jarvis in Iron Man, right? You know, or a bit like a Siri or Alexa, just being like, you know, tell me how to cook an egg, and it, you know, or do this for me, do that for me. So it's not replacing us. It's just making our life easier, because it still needs data to be able to work. It still needs data to improve. It still needs that idea to be generated. You know, like I can ask it to write me a blog post, but what's it going to write a blog post on? It could write me a blog post on, you know, how to drive a car, or it could write me a blog post on this is why the Earth's round. You know, you still need someone to tell it how to do, what to do. So I don't think it's going to replace us at all. I think it'd be interesting to see how it sits with junior levels, for example, because, you know, ultimately we've all done sort of, you know, the smaller jobs, you know, it might be like, right, you know, this is our idea for an email campaign, drive me some copy. So that it will take away some of them tasks, but then at the same time, it's then streamlining them services. You know, it's increasing, you know, the amount of time that it takes to do a task is decreasing. So it's interesting. I can see a lot of people's fears.
It is, yeah.
But I do think that's a lot of fear with like new technology, and I'm sure people had the same
so
fear.
You're just encouraging people to sort of embrace it then?
Yeah, I mean, I'd 100% embrace it. I think if you're going to neglect it, you're going to be left behind ultimately, because if you think of it in a workspace, there will always be a competitor that's going to use it. There will be someone there that spent time on it. Right? Adapt or die. There we go. Sort of thing. I'm sure, like I say, when the internet first came out and email was a thing, you know, and everyone's like, oh, I'm not sending an email, I'll still send a letter because I know that letter's going to go to Mr. Smith. It's got his stamp on it. It's got his address. It's going to look very professional. Now we send emails. Like, when's the last time anyone sent a letter? The postal service. It's probably no different than online shopping. Oh, I don't know about online shopping. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I still like to go to the retail store. It is a case of adapt and die. And if you don't adapt and you don't embrace these technologies, then who knows where we're going to end up.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Or where you'd end up.
It's a good point. Yeah. No, mate, very interesting. So just switching things up now. This is something, again, this is a big change of topic, but talk about your career here a little bit. Now, the sort of impact you've had sort of on, let's say, the mental health side of things. It's been a bit of a journey for you. I know you mentioned before the show, before we got talking, it's something you wanted to discuss. What did you want to sort of bring up there about, you know, maybe how it's impacted you and how, what you can sort of just say to anyone out there on this topic?
Oh no, so how do we describe it? So anyone that knows me, in a nutshell, big thing that I have is anxiety, believe it or not. Like even doing this podcast, if you knew me outside, would probably be like, whoa, this is very out of the normal for James. And obviously I do suffer with OCD, which not in the form of I'm going to turn a light switch on and off 100 times, which is the stereotypical, but more of how to sort of control your thoughts, be, you know, they're called intrusive thoughts of things. No, I have, so to give everyone, like, if we want to go way, way back, obviously we left university in 2011. And I think, like most people, you come out of university, I mean, no disrespect to our course, great course, but you don't get exactly what I would call prepared for the real world. You know, you get taught a lot of theory, but they will not say, right, what do you want to do with this theory? Where do you want to go? Here's the examples of what you can do with a marketing degree, you know, and where you know, what different areas you want to do. And I wasn't a big traveller. I'm like I say, I have anxiety. The idea of like travelling and being on my own in another country is a huge step for me. Something I'm working on. I will do a plan to overcome this year. But so yeah, I came out of university and I kid you not, I was like, what the hell do I do? Like, what do I do? I had, I think yourself was in America at that time, Camp America or something like that, or I know I had a few other friends that were obviously, we've got mutual friends that were doing bits and bobs and everything. And yeah, I came out thinking, what the hell do I want to do? And, you know, the most logical answer, and I think this is where AI will come very good actually, it was, I'm going to Google what I need to do. So you Google, what do I do when I leave university? Get a job. Okay, so I'm going to get a job. What I want a job in? I don't know. So then you Google marketing. Okay, so I'm going to Google marketing. There's market research, there's market strategy. You know, there's thousands of different avenues. Okay, and you just keep Googling and Googling and Googling. And after a while, I just became very overwhelmed. So overwhelming, in fact, to the point where and this is something I still struggle with day to day, is I suppose it is a form of procrastination, which is sort of like a defense technique and a way of just stopping yourself from doing anything by telling yourself you can't do it. And this is also where it related to my OCD, which was undiagnosed at the time. And I just had the same thought over again. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are we going to do? And this is going over and over. And I'm not talking weeks. I am talking months.
Yeah.
And ultimately to the point where my mental health took a huge nosedive, like a huge nosedive. Like I wouldn't leave my room. I wasn't going out. And one day I just sort of had enough. Like completely had enough. I just woke up, didn't speak to anyone in my household and just dropped on the train straight to London. And I must have walked around London now for, gotta be about 10 miles. I mean, no more than that, probably about 20 miles. I walked around the whole, like, there was not a street down London I felt I did not walk down. And then it hit about, I think, 5 o'clock in the evening. And I just sat down in the middle of Leicester Square, which, if you know Leicester Square, is probably one of the busiest places in central London. And I just burst out crying and had a complete meltdown. Like, a complete meltdown of, I was just uncontrollably sobbing. Like, I had no clue. And I still see that place I was sitting outside the Odeon Cinema. And I was just crying for half an hour. Like, this is a 21-year-old man used, you know, loosely. And yeah, I was just crying for half an hour. And
do you know why? Like, why? Just don't know what I'm doing with my life, kind of thing. Or was it more battling the anxiety? I mean, that's normal as well, right? What 21?
Yeah, 100%.
What 21-year-olds knows what they want to do. Right?
So, yeah, what 21-year-olds? I mean, God blimey,
but combined with the sort of, you know, the.
So combined with so basically, it might be a case of you might wake up tomorrow morning, right, and you could be a case of, okay, I don't know what I'm doing today. Oh Christ, what am I doing today? All right. Well, you know, I'm going to have coffee, I'm going to have breakfast, you know, I'm going to sit down, I'll come back to it in, you know, 10 minutes, we'll figure something out. With my undiagnosed OCD, I couldn't get past that next step. So effectively, imagine that yours is like going just on a continue, like on a journey on a line. Mine was like coming off on that left-hand turn, just going back round, and just going round and round, and I couldn't get across, you know, go further down that line. And ultimately just going round and round and round and round, and that would not stop to the point where I felt I was in control. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to stop it or do absolutely anything. And yeah, I just couldn't stop it. And this went on for weeks. Like I say, it went on for months. And there's certain points you can do. Like, it's very easy to run away from problems, but
how did you tackle it? Like, you know, that was obviously a few years ago now, and you've definitely, you know, you've improved since then, right? How have you actually gone about, you know, improving it?
yeah, so yeah, I mean, one thing I do, so obviously like most people on medication, which helps manage it.
Yeah.
Can't pronounce the name of how to even, it's just an anti-anxiety medication. I've had a few different types of therapy. One thing that works for me and might necessarily work for everyone else is CBT, compulsive behaviour therapy, I think. And then that's just literally talking about someone, and it's just how you can manage that process of, right, these moments will happen again in life. It's part of life. It's not something I can control, but it's coming up with ways and behaviours to manage it. So, for example, if I become so overwhelmed where I'm like, crap, I don't know what I'm doing, it's taking myself away from that, that area to say relax, to completely change. Like, the one thing that I did try and do, which didn't really work out, it doesn't really work when you work in a digital marketing space, is detach myself from my phone. Sort of thing. So, and that, but obviously when you're in today's world, everything's on your phone. Like, I pay for my shopping on my phone. I travel on the train on my phone, so that didn't really work for me. But no, I will say, for example, I will just completely shut off. I will spend like an hour just, I might go for a walk, I might go to the gym. Gym for me is something that's very stereotypical. Oh, use the gym, it is good, but it is a good release for me. Lifting weights is very good for me. I don't know. I don't know the science.
You lift weights?
In the end up with, low blow. So for the audience at home, he's looking at me going, "You lift weights?"
Sorry,
I do lift weights. It's fine, mate. I think I bench more than you. I squat more than you. Sorry, I squat more than you. I know that.
Yeah.
What are you squatting? Yeah.
Right. Not that hard.
No, exactly. So
yeah, the gym. Well, I think also you cut down. you cut down drinking as well, right? That definitely helped.
No, so. I mean, you'll notice that I'm not a huge drinker anyway. Like, most people will come home from a day of work and they'll have a beer and stuff. I don't do that. Like, I'll be honest, my poison is Robinson's Orange Wash. I go for about 4 litres of that a week. I love that bad boy. I don't know if you have that in Australia, but that's my go-to. I don't need a beer. I don't, it's very, I shouldn't be allowed to drink. Like, not in the sense of I do anything like wrong, get in trouble or nothing like that. I get very emotional. I'm an emotional drunk, like to the point where I want to help the world, and I'm like everyone's best friend, and I'll have a nice opinion about everything, and it totally does people's head in. And then behind the scenes, I spam the group chat with these type of things, but no, I'm a terrible.
And then a load of regret the next day, right?
Yeah, get used to that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
We're having a new sofa delivered.
Sorry.
And I need to be in to have it collected, to be the recipient.
All right, we'll wrap it up soon, mate. Just let's just do the final question.
Yep.
Mate, what does the future hold for James Sanwell? What does the next few years look like? Professionally, personally, what can I expect from you, mate?
Oh, what do we reckon? Well, I think, unfortunately, Forbes under 30, that's gone. Because I've hit that age milestone. What does it hold? I mean, firstly, I just want to be in a position to have a successful business where at the age of 60, I can look back and be like, right, I've got a nice team of people underneath me. We're in a few good locations. We work with some cracking people. I'm in a good position where I don't need to worry about who I take on as a client. I don't want to be hunting for, we've got to have McDonald's and stuff. I want to know people's story more than I know about this, because it's a great business. It's got a lot of value. One thing I would like to do is I'd like to try and give a lecture. So anyone that knows me, there's a story that we briefly touched upon at the very, very start of this podcast when it comes to public speaking and myself. I'm not very good at it. It goes hands down. I'm probably one of the worst. I get twitchy, I get wobbly leg syndrome, I'm terrible. And I'd love to be in a position where one day I can inspire someone and just leave the world a better place than what you found it. And then
so it's like to conquer a fear, though, but conquer your own fear.
I'm having that midlife crisis at 30. I'm just going to conquer fears now. I just want to do stuff. I'm going to become more independent.
Why not? Get one life, mate,
Exactly. You get one life. Let's try and leave it a bit better than I found it. But also at the same time, whether that, personal level, if that involves kids, that involves family, partner, whatever. Who knows? I'm not hunting for it. I'm not going for it. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. As long as you're happy, I think that's the main thing. And you can just wake up every morning and just enjoy what you do. End of the day, you've just got to enjoy what you do. And I've woke up many times, I'm sure most of us have, and be like, oh, I really don't want to go to work today. I hate this person. Or not, hate's a strong word. I don't mean hate. So yeah. Just want to.
It's true. The person that wakes up happy, enjoys what they do, they're winning at life, in my opinion.
They are 100% winning their life, and they are the people that, and it's not. And we get taught, especially in school, like I was taught at school, there was no option. It was always you go to university after sixth form. If you went to college after sixth form, for example, and did a manual labour job, you failed at life. It was always you go to uni, you get a degree, you get a first, you earn the money, boom, done, that's sorted. You have the kids and the family. And it takes someone to actually be like, no, life's not like about that anymore. It's about waking up happy. You get one life, subject to whatever religious beliefs you believe in. But just make the best of it and most of it. And if I can leave a nice legacy in place where somebody remembers James Sanwell when I brand bred it, then that's the main thing, without saying so egotistical.
That's absolutely brilliant. I think that's a really good way to wrap this show up, mate. So thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed
sharing
it.
About your journey. No, yeah, really good chat, mate. Really enjoyed sharing your journey and some of your wisdom, and I appreciate you sharing some of your stories and being a bit vulnerable there as well. So mate, really good to chat. And
if anyone wants to drop me a message, it's James Sanwell on LinkedIn. There's only one of me. Tactixdigital.com. That's my website. And
heard it there.
Chat about anything. I'm here to make life better for people.
Unbelievable. All right. Thanks a lot, James. We'll wrap this up. Cheers.
Bye.